I can't
afterwards.
comment either. I see what Oric was talking about. It seems the guest can't comment.
If you want, hi everybody. I'm just trying to explain to, not trying, well, I'm attempting to, because sometimes I get confused between StreamYard and with my mobile phone. Um, it seems like sometimes I have features of YouTube that others I have that I should have, but others it gets really confusing. So when I'm in StreamYard, I can comment on mine, but if you were to go your YouTube, um, into the YouTube live, you would be able to post comments in there in the
Okay.
chat.
Okay. I
So
won't play around with that tonight. So forgive me, everybody, that I can't comment back typing, but um, I will read to the best of my
here,
ability.
and I will go and do this. Hello, Rain. Thank you for joining us. Love that. Oh, thank you. That's an older pic. It's about 4 years old, but still one of my favorites. Um, she says, "Hi, Septina. Nice to meet you."
Nice to meet you too, Spiritual Rain.
This is Shaw. This is Dina. She goes, well, this is Dina. She goes by Shaw Woman. Um, and we have Miss Janet P. Hello, sweetheart. Thank you for being here. And here's Willow. And Willow, I was trying to get a hold of you earlier, but you don't have any email address listed. I wanted to invite you to join Septina and I. Colleen, life got crazy for Colleen, and she let me know this morning she couldn't make it. So um, I know what that's like. Life sometimes just, gets away from you. So we will be back next week. We'll likely be on her channel. So looking forward to that. And there's Amanda. Hello, Amanda. There's Serena. That's Mama Bear. So all my, like I said, everybody would be popping in. Um, so Willow, if you are interested and you wanted to join Septina and I at some point, we're going to be discussing, the threefold law. If you are interested, just let me know and I will go ahead and I will put the link in the chat. So, for anybody who might be new, this is Septina, and her channel is the Tipsy Tea Leaf Oracle.
I'm very excited to be here.
So, thank you thank you for being here. This is my new friend. I love her energy, and I'll let her share what she needs to share. But this this topic of the Wiccan read, the witches read, they're interchangeable, um, especially with the key phrase, um, "Harm none, do as thou will." We both know in a perfect world, everybody practices that. Magical practitioners, and even those who aren't magical practitioners, reaching out to practical magical practitioners. Um, and so it's really doesn't fall under just the guise of Wiccans, witches, pagan, anything. If you do anything, any sort of magic, um, if you have intent and it goes out. Oh, I heard a little laugh. I got
I was
people.
laughing at what Willow just said.
I look like I have been shot out of a cannon tonight. Okay, sweetheart, but just know that the invitation is there. Um, she's got such beautiful insight and wisdom and wonderful medium. I just love what she adds to my lives, whatever it is that I'm doing. But when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter what spiritual or religious belief you practice. We have the power to curse, to harm, just by our energy, the words we use, and that energy that we send to individuals. Um, that's why it's so much more very important for those who do practice any type of magic, that they learn how to be able to separate those strong negative emotions, um, when it comes to doing their spell work, their magic work. And before I get all into that too much, like I said, Septina's had some experiences with individuals who do not follow or abide by, you know, the threefold law. And instead of reading multiple versions of it, oh, hi, Gerald. Thank you for being here.
Hi, Tarot Stash. I've seen you before on Jane the Seeker.
Yes. He's a lot of fun, and he does these Tarot the Stash Way. He has a playlist, and we actually go through each of the suits. We just started numerology, and I absolutely love it because we learn from each other. Everybody who comes into his chat.
Heather.
And there's Heather. Hi, sweetheart. Hey, darlings, I'm lurking, picking up my daughter. Good evening. Well, thank you for stopping by and listening. And so check out his channel because we learn from each other. My understanding and my comfort level working with tarot, because I'm much more comfortable with Oracle and Lenormand, has grown greatly because of the classes that he offers. So I definitely, and I will be a guest next week also on his channel. So I'm looking very forward to that. And yes, so this is why I want this. Probably there may even be possibly a part 2 to this discussion, because it infiltrates really every aspect of magic practice, whether you consider yourself Wiccan, if you consider yourself a witch, if you consider yourself pagan, or any other religious practices that include mysticism, alchemy, magic, that I'll just say kind of like that realm, that genre, that
the esoteric arts.
Thank you. Like an umbrella. It's all encompassing. It's all enclosed with all the different little pathways. So just to start out with the Wiccan read, and I love this deck. It's beautiful. It's called The Witch's Wisdom. I love most of the images in this deck. It's well done. And just to start off, they gave a little brief, like a little Cliff Notes version of the Wiccan Law, and it goes by: in perfect love, in perfect trust. 8 words the Wiccan read fulfill. And ye harm none, do as ye will, and ever mind the rule of 3. What we send out comes back to thee. Follow this with mind and heart, and merry ye meet, and merry ye part. And I went ahead and highlighted what the writers put in here for the description of the card. And I had to go ahead and highlight this. And I know I say and a lot, but I want to make sure I'm on the right page. But it says, however, as a working witch, it is vital. And even if you don't call yourself a witch, if you're just consider yourself pagan and you do practice some magic here and there, it's a very loosely, it's labels, which we might get into on a later episode. It says that, however, as a working witch, it is vital that you have integrity. And that's the big word right there, integrity in all that you do. You can rest assured that it was not put in place to spoil your fun, but to safeguard all magical practitioners from any harm to themselves and to others. It is a positive instructional to live by and promises a way of life that's in tune with the balance of nature in perfect love and perfect trust. I love that.
Yes. I like Willow said that she's oh, thank you. Thank you, Willow. She said she's gotten rid of labels, and I identify as a light worker. There's no mistaking the language of light worker, and it's got the word light right in it. And the only reason I even choose a label is because everybody else wants a label. What are you? What do you do? Are you a witch? And all of these, the pagan, the Wiccan, they've got these stigmas, which we are breaking. That's why we do things like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it seems the world wants a label. It makes them comfortable and it gives them understanding. So I identify as a light worker because I feel it encompasses everything of integrity.
A thought, though,
Mm-hmm.
if you allow me,
Of course.
is that when it comes to the word light being positive, and then but dark gets a negative, and so there's power and healing in the dark as well.
Oh, there is. And just
So
because you're a
there's
light
that
worker
balance.
doesn't mean you get rid of that dark. You have to be balanced.
So that's why it's so hard these days with, because us humans we have to put labels on everything. And I have a friend who's African American, and she practices witchcraft. And for her, it was kind of hard because it was just like, well, every time she would hear, oh, black candles are bad, black man, everything was black. And so she kind of taught me maybe we can start working around the idea of getting away from the negative labels, but then at the same time, where can we come together and be able to use verbiage or language or possibly a positive label that tries to, instead of separating, it brings together instead. And I know that's very difficult these days.
Well, yeah, the way I describe it is we all are connected. That's also why I don't believe in cord cutting being an effective thing to do. We come from the same fabric of life, and all those fabrics and threads need to be interwoven. You
Mhm.
know, you can disconnect and stop giving energy or electricity to that particular wire cord
Mhm.
that makes up the fabric, but we do have to coexist. And I've often said, I'm an earth angel who wears combat boots. I can go into the trenches, gather the intel, and bring it back to the light and transmute and educate.
Yes, that's beautiful. Education, that's where it is. Education, communication. Um, and right here, really quick, Will said some witchcraft can be very dangerous, but witchcraft can also be very powerful in a very positive way, a very healing way. A lot of people forget that, like what Colleen and I discussed last week, witch back in the day, this that was like a term that was introduced in Old English, but back then too, up to that point, a witch was, a male or a woman who was like the village healer. They understood their connection to the earth. They could talk to the plants. They knew how to use the earth to help heal, um, how to connect with with Mother Earth, how to guide spiritually, how to rule in peace, how to live in peace. And it's just unfortunate, but the human psyche, whatever it is, we have that duality, and that's there. And so another example that just popped into my head was that I had a friend in Arizona when I was living there, and her sister was murdered. She was it was blunt force trauma, really bad, with a hammer. And she said to me, she goes, "Look at the hammer," because I was telling her how I've struggled over the years with the image of the pentacle and what it's associated with and what its true meaning really is, and how I was telling her how I was concerned during my spiritual practice, by me wearing that, am I going to attract um, those of ill will, in our own community and outside of our spiritual community. And she says, "Well, look what happened to my sister." She goes, "This is a hammer. See the hammer? It's just a hammer." She goes, "It can be used to build houses, to build furniture, to help improve our lives. But then it can also be used for destruction, for evil, like what happened to my sister."
Yes.
So it's this dichotomy that
It's the intention behind the use of the tool or practice.
exactly.
Yeah. It's like I dabble in many things which I never did before, mostly for protection, and I resonate a lot with root work. And root work originally was sort of created to save lives. You know, the African Americans never got a fair trial, never.
Mm-hmm.
And it was necessary to save their lives.
Yeah.
But hoodoo and voodoo are different and can be used again, just like you're describing, for good or for bad, as anything can be.
And really quick, Sherry, she lives down in Louisiana. Her and I've had this discussion. So Sherry, if you ever want to jump on at some point and share your knowledge with your understanding in the area of, the voodoo practitioners, just let me know and I'll shoot you off. But I've been learning a lot from this lady right here.
Awesome. I
It, it,
have
it's
relatives in New Orleans, but I don't see them often. So,
because it's just so misaligned by um, people who should not be practicing it, because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. And then, of course, you've got Hollywood, you've got the media. You want people who, want to do these shows to gain ratings. And so you have to really cut through a lot of the crap
you do.
to really find out what the true origins, purposes, and practices of like Appalachian folk magic, people down in the South with voodoo, um, the practitioners of hoodoo. I mean, like I said, it doesn't matter what religion or spiritual practices that you come from or do. It's all the intent and the individual itself, because
Yes.
there is such great beauty and power that come from the earth that we connect into. And it's whether we use that energy, like they said in the book, with integrity.
Yes.
Mm.
Now,
Yeah.
what you're highlighting there, what Willow said, that's what I believe I was attacked with. I had to research dark magic to figure out what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't get into the details, but I believe it was something along those lines. So I fully agree with you there, Willow.
And like they said, there are practitioners of Santeria that do it for a positive benefit for themselves, for their community. And then you have those that want to do and are willing to use it for harm.
Right.
It's just, let me just look really quick here in comments. I don't want to miss anything or have anyone feel I'm ignoring them. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss saying hello. And if there's anything you want to respond to also, please let me know.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, Will said that she had a friend. Now, this is an interesting topic also. This might be for another live, a lot of this is just going to infiltrate through all topics whenever Colleen and I do, because it's at the core. It's all interconnected. It's all a web. It's all a beautiful, energetic web, and they're all connected. And, over the years, white witch, dark witch, I've heard green witch, and now the popular gray witch, because some people are saying that they can't differentiate between light and dark, and now there's, you know, all these shades of gray, and which actually I think would lead me into, and I just, oh, hello, Teresa. I knew I felt like I missed somebody. So thank you for Teresa, for being here. Um, I'm going to look for this if you want to share any more insights or share any parts of your story about your experiences while I look for what I went ahead and, so I got two books here with me.
Right. Well, I won't get into my experiences in detail. I have a playlist on my channel if anyone's interested, and it's dark and it's crass. I'm of love and light, but when I explain the horrors I've gone through on my channel in a playlist called "My Personal Battles," if you wish. But all I'm going to say is there is a new sort of trend, let's say, sadly, on witchcraft, and it's mostly the millennials and some Gen Xers are being brought into it. I know this from my personal experiences. So these are people who don't identify as anything that we've mentioned. And what they're doing is they're just going to practitioners who basically live in the darkness 24/7, and they're paying them. There are even witches now on Etsy, and if you read the descriptions, it's bone chilling. And this is a trend, and this is what I'm trying to warn people about. So these are people who don't identify as anything at all other than they're malicious. They want to get ahead, and the way they get ahead is to pay practitioners for evil things to be done to their competition.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think I started studying root work and got the Hoodoo Tarot deck for myself. And it really opened up my eyes and helped me with my protection, as well as getting Reiki attuned. You know, that really helped as well.
For me, I just wanted to pull this up because I found this interesting. Gerald said, personally, I try not to label myself because I think it limits my full power.
Yes. Yes, indeed, my friend.
So, Gerald, how would you then say, because I know you follow and honor and respect the wheel of the year. I love how he'll get on and do lives with several other readers, and they'll discuss, Mabon. They've discussed Samhain. And I just absolutely love when they do this. So that
I
I'm
know
just
about the
curious.
gym. Yes.
So I mean, I just can't. So what do you go and say? Hi, I'm Heather. For a lot of people, for over the years, I've just said my spirituality is nature based.
I love that.
I would love to use the word witch, honestly, because for me, I understand the root word. I mean, I was taught what the root word and the history, when the beginning history is from a Catholic nun in college. She was a doctor. She had a doctorate, and she was a Franciscan nun. And she wrote a book called Women in Religion. And she went through and she covered all the positive and the negative aspects of especially patriarchal religion, including her own. And she was one of the first that I learned about goddess worship from. I learned what Wicca was. And I stopped her after class one day and I said, I hope you don't mind me asking, but you're Catholic and you're supposed to convert. I go, how do you teach? I mean, I could wrap it around my brain. And she said that her job on this earth was to help people find their personal spiritual path. And if she helped them find it, no matter what it was, even if it was different than hers, then it was her job. Then she fulfilled her job on this planet.
Well, you see, she's one of the mold breakers, and she was actually putting herself at risk of being excommunicated because, in fact, it was an Italian priest who brought tarot over to North America. And when the Vatican got wind of it, they're the ones who stopped it. But there were Italian priests who used this divination tool, and then the elite rich would hire artists to make decks for them, hand painted decks, and that all that information sort of got hidden for the longest time. So she was tapping into what already existed in the Catholic Church and was removed.
Mm-hmm. And just going really quick here, I saw Rain put in that she's interested in hoodoo, and there is a book. Rain, I will shoot it off to you, and I will put it in the comments after the live. There's a magazine that I've been following on and off over the years, and it's called Sage Woman, and it covers goddess religion and connecting with the divine feminine. And there is a young woman. Well, she's not young now because it's been a few years since I've heard of this book has been out. Um, but she teaches, the basic natural remedies, practices, and connection to the earth. I think it's called By Stick, Stone, and Something. Um, but I will put that in the description or in the comment section after. And just really quick, Willow said that she sees an energy called the Jinn,
Yeah,
and
it's a gin.
a Jinn. So I just want to let you know that um, that's what she was sensing. And
Yes, I was reading that. It's those can be for good or for bad as well.
so Gerald says, I just say, hi, I'm Gerald. If asked, I honor the natural cycles of the earth and then go into my spiritual practices without the labels until I feel comfortable with the other person's intention. Okay,
Smart.
so then they open up. Yeah.
Smart.
Yeah, because yeah, that's my family history. I won't go into that. That's a whole other like private conversation. I am Christian. Am constantly accused of being evil. Yeah, but to be honest though, to be very open and honest, I have dealt with more negative energy and things sent to me from non nature based practitioners than I have by. I've had more attacks from people who follow the Christian faith.
Me too. But they're hiding behind it, really.
And I'm not saying Christian faith is a good thing or bad thing. If people notice, I have Mary around my neck. I'm no longer a practicing Catholic, but Catholicism and paganism is basically the same thing. Um, and for me, when I learned about Wicca and paganism, um, I brought Mary over with me because I could understand that she was the goddess. I had the goddess in my life the whole time. And of course, still being connected to her, that still put me in a duality with people on the Christian side that said, well, how dare you acknowledge her and wear that while you're, doing black magic and doing this. And then, of course, my fellow pagans saying, well, don't you dare use the word Christmas or use Yule. And, and that they said that she's weak. She goes, she's not a god, So it's just kind of like,
Well, why do people keep trying? Once a group of people or an individual try to start putting limitations on you,
hmm
that's a red flag right there.
yeah. So it was sad that I couldn't even be accepted and understood by a group at one point that was misunderstood. And that, it but I have noticed though, and this is going back to like, the 2000s. So I've noticed it's more, I'm more welcomed now. It's more acceptable. People are actually waking up.
Yeah.
And with a lot of this awakening, it's scaring the hell out of the those who wish to do harm, and so they're trying twice as hard, to. Um, I just it's unfortunate that balance needs to be maintained, so that we can never fully eradicate, the evil, the dark, the malicious, the malignant. It's
Well,
always going to be a part of our existence, our experience here on life.
if you think of the High Priestess card in the tarot deck,
Hi, Ange. Yep.
there is a white pillar on one side of the High Priestess and a black pillar on the other. The High Priestess knows how to balance that dark and light
Mm-hmm.
together to create the ultimate awareness.
Yeah, because without one, you can't have the other. Without
Mhm.
and what I was like mentioning before, the idea, the concept of anything dark as being evil or negative, we got to get rid of that too. I would rather use the word negative energy, positive, but now people are throwing in saying, "Well, I do chaos magic," and I'm like, okay, now there's another one, but why would you want to do chaos when being connected to spirit, and which I'll get to fits again with the book with Phyllis Carroll. Why do you need the chaos? Why, what can you get more out of chaos that you can't get out of balance? And
Yeah.
so for new people coming in, I absolutely love this book. It's called Witchcrafting by Phyllis Carroll. And she has actually a little bit of a different take on the Threefold Law. And she says, I believe the Threefold Law is an inadequate, inaccurate, and inappropriate basis for Wiccan ethics. And she's Wiccan. She practices witchcraft, so it's used interchangeably in this book, but it's the same concept. And it says it is not and should not be. It is not and should not be the reason that witches do not hex, harm, or manipulate or do baneful magic. She goes, the primary problem is that the Threefold Law is basically a theory of punishment. I won't misbehave because if I do, something worse will happen to me. Therefore, I need to behave myself because I don't want anything bad to happen to me. And she says, I've always had a problem with punishment as a basis for ethics because it's not an ethical precept. It's the weak cousin of morality. And I love how she uses the word morality because it's conduct based purely on deterrence. So, and then she continues over here. The real reason that witches do not and should not harm, do baneful magic, or use magic to have power over others is because they experience imminent divinity.
Oh, thank you, Tiny Trinkets. Sorry.
Oh, thank you, Ange.
Yeah.
Ange. Thank you, sweetheart. She says, all of our behavior, our magic, and our ethics flow from this epiphany that the divine exists within ourselves, in others, and in the world. And what she says later on, too, is that all is holy, and all that is holy is to be treated as sacred. So she goes, if you are a true practitioner, there should be no cause for having to choose, because once you connect with divinity and you feel that unconditional love, you feel that beauty, that deep spiritual connection to all that is, why would you want to use that energy to harm others, including yourself? So I love how she sticks with what the women said here, with integrity and with morality, and not being afraid of following it out of punishment. The true core of creating magic, connection with divinity. Go ahead. I know you want to say something.
I'm so glad you said that. And an example popped into my head, and I think this could really help people, not necessarily anyone in the chat now. You guys, I think, are already aware of not to feel guilty if something happens to somebody else who did you wrong. But I didn't realize my own power until a very interesting thing happened. It's actually a sad story. I'll say it very quickly, but there was a woman who had a child at the same time I did, and she made life a living hell for us at the school. And she lives in my building. So I was having trouble with the public school system anyway, so I pulled my kid out of school to avoid all of this chaos. And it ended up working better for the both of us. But she didn't stop there. She would, say things to me outside of our building. And one day I had enough. And I've realized my finger is a magic wand. And now that I know this, I'm careful how I point my finger.
Mm-hmm.
And what I said to this woman was, you will be sorry, you and your sharp tongue. You will be sorry you ever spoke bad about me. A year later, she had her tongue cut out from oral cancer and then died.
Oh, my.
And I can tell you that I went through these feelings of guilt thinking, did I do that? And then I had to realize, I had to look at it from all angles. Nobody liked her. She didn't have a single friend, and no one liked her. And she was a heavy cocaine abuser, alcoholic, and cigarette smoker. So I had to tell myself it wasn't me that did this. But it was a really strange coincidence that the karma all came crashing down all at once after I had done that. It was almost like the divine had seen she had hurt one too many light workers, and it was going to end up harming her child had she kept up with this. And, it had nothing to do with me, really. And I just wanted to let that out there because these things can happen where you didn't realize your own power and you end up getting a situation like that where you might think you were responsible, but you weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. I hope you don't
No.
mind.
Oh no, this is why I like having this, because I'm seeing the open conversations in chat. You're sharing no, this is what I love. I mean, I would rather have everybody just over to my living room right now, having a cup of tea or coffee, than sitting around and chatting like we used to when I lived in Arizona. Witchy Wednesdays, when the weather was nice, we'd go over to the coffee bean, sit outside with coffee, tea, or whatever, and chat for several hours. And during the winter, we would go into Bookman's, which was a used bookstore, which was awesome because you walk in, smell the old books. They would have a table and chairs and a couch, and we would sit and hang. So this is what I love: open, respectful, energy, exchange with each other. And I noticed a couple of the chaos comments, and I did write those down. So I think that might be a different topic because I would like for those in chat on another live to share, or through email, their idea of their positive take on the chaos. So
Yes.
I
Thank
want to
you,
make sure.
Amanda.
Yes, and Gerald did say earlier that he did like your he liked the balance of the priestess card.
Yes, yes. So he understood what I was saying about that. I am subscribed, by the way. I just haven't had time to catch up on a lot of people's videos. So
See,
thank
now with
you.
so with the chaos, though, from my experience, from the person who's telling me about it, it was obvious it was something they were doing that was not healthy, especially for them.
Yes.
And I just recently had um, several betrayals in the spiritual community of that I was a part of starting last year that fell to pieces. Like Septina and I were talking backstage about people who we thought were, our friends, or people that, we had a connection with, and turn around to find out that ulterior motives, let's say. And one of those individuals also considers their practice being chaotic, and she was not in a healthy way. So for me, my experience with the concept of chaos magic has been different than obviously people in chat. So that would be nice to be able to have a discussion on another evening about the different types of magic which I want to do.
Perfect.
Let's see, Amanda. I was a food server. We're intolerable. I would wish they'd stub their oh no. Just careful now.
So,
Like I said,
Amanda, you're
words have power.
understanding the power. Yes, yes.
There is, another reader on YouTube, and I respect, his point of view. But when he said there's no such thing as spells, spells are not real. Um, Prayers are, and prayers are spells.
Yes.
And so people have to remember that the words that you use, whether you realize it or not, do have power because you're saying them, you're putting emotions into them, and whether you're inflicting that onto yourself, or focusing that on another individual, whether you say it to their face or not, that's still, you're sending toxic, negative energy in thought forms and words to another individual, and that is under the umbrella considered, spell work. So you have to be, very careful.
Right. Those are the immoral acts.
Mm-hmm. And she says they're the most powerful tools. Yes, they are. And oh, you were on a block talk radio for years. Wonderful. So yes, there's a lot of beautiful practitioners that walk their walk, talk their talk, worked together. I've heard, during the political, you know, elections, especially here, in the U.S., groups trying to get together to prevent certain people from being elected, trying to keep individuals safe. And so there are positive, obviously positive uses for magic, but we just have, and I think the word that's like my word for this year besides boundaries is mindful. Just mindfulness, being
Mindful
mindful of
practice.
what you're putting into your body, who you're seeing, who you're talking to. And I live in a very red area of New York. And so for me, on a daily basis, I am 1 minute seeing bumper stickers and flags and things that just absolutely make me lash out. But then in a second, it's like, no, I got to pull that back. And like Scott Allen from Spiritual Essence said, he said, no, it's hard, but you have to send light. So when I start to feel that anger and that, ugh, I just envision light in my mind and just sending that ball of light over to them
Yeah.
because I don't want to put out or add to that negative energy that's already being, you know,
Yeah.
manifested.
Oh, yeah. Well, I live in downtown Toronto it's a little slice of Skid Row over here, but there's a lot of beauty too. So it's hard it's a challenge every day to protect my son and I from the chaos, and embrace the light. It's a balancing act in everyday life, and we all have it no matter where we live.
Mhm.
And well, because I live in Canada, I'm able to have this 10 milligram of THC beverage available to me at the corner store.
Oh yeah, we have those available too.
Do you? Okay.
We have the CBD gummies and things with the TH, and of course he wanted to say hello. So anybody new in chat, most of you have already met this guy, and I know Will is going to be like, "Oh, my baby." So he wanted to say hello.
Oh, another Canadian. Wonderful. There are places I just cannot go any longer. Yeah.
Yep,
What
that's
a
spiritual rage. I have so many Canadian friends, and actually, okay, excuse me for a second. I just want to put that up there while he's trying to figure out what he's doing. Gerald had a question. What advice would you give your younger self regarding the threefold law? Interesting. Septina, you wanna? Well, I get this guy here out of the way so he doesn't flash everybody his butt. Come on.
Um, I wouldn't have to give myself any advice about that because well, I was never tapped in. I ignored it. And well, I had a grandmother who dabbled in some things that she shouldn't have, and she would have to bring the priest in to clear out the home and stuff. So
Mm, yeah.
I think it was already in me. I came into this world understanding it. Can I just say that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's a knowing, and I know
Yeah.
Sherry H, who's in Sherry H from the swamps in here. She shares with everybody that when she was younger, she would talk to God. People would say, "Who are you talking to?" And when she would say it, they're like, "Oh, she's got the gift too." Like, okay, yep, she's got the same. But like for me, I grew up. My childhood home actually had an evil entity in it, and I here let me just and I it would focus itself on me. And well, I went after my sister before my sister got out of the house. My sister would actually see it, but it would come for me at night. And I knew, looking back now, I know I had abilities as a child because my mother would say, who are you talking to? And I would tell her I'm talking to my friends that live in the flowers. I was always outside talking to the trees, my mom's flower gardens and everything. But because of my experience of being attacked on a regular basis by this thing, I grew an immediate like shutdown.
Yeah.
Anytime I would feel any sort of spirit or energy that reminded me of that energy or something similar, I would shut down. It's only now I'm gonna be 52 next month, that since I started my channel and started reading and getting more into learning the cards and reconnecting with my guides and with my own abilities, that um, it's I wish it hadn't taken so long. But now
Yes.
being this age, I mean, when I was younger, I already knew that because of being raised um, Catholic, I did. I was raised with morals. I was taught to, not to steal, not to hurt other people. I was always, the one that would always love people, wanted to be friends with people, which was kind of crazy because I was, bullied my whole life. But it just for me, I always knew at a young age that anything that was to control over anybody else was dangerous and it was not right. And it really held me back many years, almost like 20 years from really me exploring and practicing because of the fear in the back of my head of what if people are right? What if, witches, those who are Wiccan are only practice dark is only going to come back. So it was this constant, struggle back and forth. But for me, it was never about ethics. It was, I always had a clear vision of, what was right and what was wrong and what I would not want to do to another individual.
Yeah. So you came into this world with that knowing as well.
Hmm.
And I had similar, excuse me, experiences as a child too. So, I told every spirit to go away. They were waking me up. They like to wake me up, and they were doing that since age 2.5. And my mom would come in the middle of the night and say, "Who are you talking to?" And I'd say, "It's Snow White. She comes out of my carpet." And the way I would describe her, like Snow White, because how can a 2.5-year-old describe this?
Hmm.
She looked like Snow White, and my mom believed it was her aunt who actually had thyroid issues. And now it's discovered in my 50s, I have 5 tumors on my thyroid, which I can only say didn't happen until after the dark magic attack. But it's it was almost like she was preparing me for the future.
Hmm.
And I didn't pick up any cards or even look into light work until age 50 when all of that happened to me. It was spirit saying, now is the time. You were built for this. You go into the trenches and go through this to help other people.
Yeah. We're all showing, getting through, you know, the falsehoods
Yes.
and separating fact. And like I said, one of the things that I have an issue with, I respect everybody's channels and their beliefs because I expect them to respect mine. Um, is that a lot? And an example is Doreen Virtue. Um, for many years, Doreen did a lot of, and and I'm not knocking Doreen, but she liked to present. It was just like she was focused on so much light. All the fairies are happy, nice, and friendly. All of these are happy, nice, and I think it created an imbalance, and she ended up having, I guess, an experience that scared her, and made her completely cut off at everything that she used to, you know, breathe, teach, write about is all now, dark.
Wow.
And I think what needs to be done, and it's not easy with things like TikTok, certain individuals on TikTok, social media, Hollywood. It's just having communication and like, okay, you know what? This is not all airy and fluffy and light. Everybody who's love light and to everybody, we do have a dark side. We're not saying to practice it, but it needs to be acknowledged because
Yes.
it's the dark, whether it's a negative energy or whether it's like shadow work. People a lot of times shadow work. Oh, that's negative. That's dark. That's evil. That's bad. No, it can be beautiful. It can be healing. I mean, we spent 9 months in our mother's wombs in the darkness, you know,
Yeah.
and by that darkness, and we came into the light. And so it's, and when we sleep at night, that's when our bodies heal. It's dark. And so there needs to be just a real coming together and understanding of separating fact from fiction, and just being honest and saying, you know what, this is not all airy and fairy. Starting to practice, they were like, oh, there's really not many, witches or pagans that practice dark. We're all light. You're supposed to be light. And it didn't take me long to learn that wasn't true. And so people need to be very open and honest and upfront with their communication
Yes.
when it comes to um, their relationships with others, whether it's, and I'm referring to spiritual now. And I think it starts with ourselves
Yes.
and journaling and saying, okay, because now, like the one book said, there's so many shades of, people say, well, if someone's attacking me, do I have the right to protect myself? Yes, you do. It has to be, you can't bind an individual to keep you safe. And I think a lot of people nowadays are just looking for so many loopholes. How
Yeah.
can I, jump ahead to do this? How can I, without fully getting in with themselves and connecting with themselves, with their higher power, and knowing why are you in this in the first place? That's why, Scott Cunningham was a great author for me to start out with in my 20s. He passed away, like, I think a year after I bought his first book. And even though I really don't read many of her books, Silver Raven Wolf.
Shaw woman, sorry.
Oh, I just have that come up to me and let me pet them. I would love
Yeah.
that. Um, and oh, what was I saying?
Sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
squirrel.
Yeah. Yeah, about that
Oh, Silver
author.
Raven Wolf. She, um, with her first book that came out, To Ride a Silver Broomstick, she really made people, before you read any further, grab a pen, grab a paper, and start journaling and writing. Why exactly are you interested in this path? What are your intentions? Are they for, I mean, she was a taskmaster. She really wanted to make sure and have you write down and see why it is that you wanted to follow a magical practice. Now, when you go in the stores, everybody and their uncle and aunt and cousin have, books on, you know, Wicca and witchcraft and everything. And while that's a good thing because it's more openly discussed and accepted, there's just a lot of stuff out, books and things out there that's not really getting to the core
No
of
guidance
the truth.
involved.
No real
Yeah.
true guidance. And I was blessed for my Pagan 101 teacher. She was actually Silver Ravenwolf's teacher herself, and Bree and Joe um, taught us so much and taught us the right way. And Bree was always so very open and understanding of my Catholic background, and me trying to understand how to bring that divine feminine, into my practice, and the beautiful circles, that the public circles, open circles they would have. I miss those because those were true, those were magical, those were connected to divinity. And yeah, I mean, this is a topic, could go on for hours, and I have to, at least keep it to an hour. Thanks, StreamYard. I can only afford the free StreamYard, so I'm
Me
allotted 20
too. Yeah.
hours a week. So, was there anything you added? Because otherwise, I figured maybe we can like pull a collective, do like a mini collective for everybody
Let's
before
do
ending.
that. Sure. Now I've got to choose what kind of deck to use today.
I know I have too many. Oh, purchase responsibly, right, Gerald? Heather didn't do that. And now she's got but I love oracle decks. That's what I connect with the most. I just love the artwork. Being an artist, I'm just really drawn to different images and how people create the art. And Colette Baron Reed's decks are just absolutely gorgeous. The artist that she has, but
Agreed.
I'm going to use this deck in honor of Dina of Shaw Woman. Where is the deck itself? I see the box. It is the, I'll just share it really quick. This was my last deck aside from the Star Runes, but the Sacred Forest Oracle.
Oh, I think I got a good idea.
And another thing too, I want to have a topic one night comparing the nature beliefs between shamanism, Celtic shamanism, Wicca, witchcraft, paganism. They're all very interconnected. And of course, too, the label of witch. I lived in Arizona, so I know how careful you had to be using that word around town because of, the belief in the skinwalkers and the evil witches and stuff with the medicine men and women. So yeah, but that's another topic that I'm excited to look into. And just like, yes. Okay, if you have cards already, let me know. Okay, let me put you. There we go.
So I decided, because of the topic of conversation and how I mentioned root work earlier, I think a good way for anybody who is, interested in tarot and learning more about root work, the best way to do it is through this book and deck, the Hoodoo Tarot, because it gives an account of actual people in history. It's a history lesson. A Waterstone medicine man. That's cool.
Yes, Willow actually has Native American heritage. So I'm really looking forward into having Willow on as a guest and sharing, having a discussion with her about, the connection spiritually that, like nature-based religion has compared to, or in connection with Native American and the shamanism, the medicine, and I mean, it's just all one beautiful web, and how we're all created, and learning how to start having that communication, to understand everybody. So let me just. Oh, Septina, can you show that book again, please? Rain asked. The Hoodoo Tarot.
So that's the book, 78 card deck based on tarot. And these are the cards. And you've got it's just like tarot. But for example, Dr. Grant here. And because I haven't read the deck in a while, I have to look up Dr. Grant and see. So each person in history represents a different major arcana. And then there are family members after that. It goes on and on. So Dr. Grant is page 50 here. And he stands for the hermit.
Oh, going within. Okay.
Yes. So would you guys like to read about Dr. Grant or hear about Dr. Grant?
I would love to.
All right. So that was the first card out. And Dr. Grant, there is a specific herb or plant that goes with him, and that is duckweed. I've never heard of duckweed. So in this image, Dr. Grant is shown in solitude, as the hermit does, picking herbs and roots in the swamps of Louisiana. Dr. Grant was a Protestant conjure doctor from New Orleans. Unfortunately, the details of his life are unknown, but the time Zora Neale Hurston interviewed Dr. Grant and others in the 30s, many conjure doctors were using herbs and other supplies from catalogs. Dr. Grant, however, was a proud swamper who preferred to do things the old-fashioned way by gathering what he needed in the wild. Grant reminded Hurston of a few critical but often forgotten lessons. Number 1, believe in one's limitless power. Number 2, petition spirits unequal to man. And number 3, know more than one way to get a job done. Number 4, acknowledge that no two people or jobs are alike, because a remedy that works for one person may not work for another.
Yep.
Dr. Grant was highly sought out for his abilities, and in some cases was paid more than $100 in the 1930s. That was an exorbitant amount of money for the time. So I would like to just say it really goes with this thing here of a proud swamper preferred to do things the old-fashioned way by gathering what he needed in the wild. All spell work is more powerful and holds more integrity when you grew the herbs yourself, gathered them yourself, and you're not ordering things from a catalog like these new people who are this new trend of people going to witches, dark, evil witches on Etsy to get them to do this kind of work for them. This man had integrity, okay?
That's the word, integrity. Yep.
Yes, and I'll leave it there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Boy, Protestant too.
Yep. Yeah, right.
So I pulled 3 from the Sacred Forest. Oh, I pulled 3 from the Sacred Forest. And it's interesting because one card says crystal, one card says daffodil, which is flower, and one says bee, which is animal spirit. So it's interesting that several different elements of the earth decide to come through with a message. Oh, and one is 9 and one goes into 10. Very interesting. I'm learning about numbers from Gerald's class with numerology. I'm not good with numbers, but I'm starting to pay attention to numbers now. The crystal cave and trusting in yourself, in your ability, and making sure if you decide to follow the spiritual path, to start creating magic and connecting with the divine to do so. Make sure that you have that confidence, that deep knowing, because like this area here is that yellow. It's like also our chakra, solar plexus chakra, excuse me, our place of power, our energy, and learning how to embrace it and not being afraid of it, and learning to trust in your higher power, trust in yourself, trust in your magic and your connection to earth. Daffodil fairies, because when you have that trust, new beginnings are going to come come to you. Again, here too, flower, it might be herbal. For me, I'm more crystal. For some people, it's more herbal. When you open to that trust in yourself and the universe, opens new doors, new beginnings. And the last card, prosperity will come, the bee. Bees go from flower to flower, accumulating pollen to create their honey. And so, like your spiritual practice, and people, anything in your daily life, going from one place to the other. Like for me, I'm open spiritually. I consider myself pagan, but like I've learned a little bit from friends that I had that were Buddhist. I've learned a little bit from friends who did hoodoo. I am interested in learning more about voodoo from the positive aspects. Um, my Catholic bringing, I still take some of that with me. So be spirit, collecting, going around, taking everything that you can learn, knowledge, always and always what's the word? Not requesting, re reevaluating your spiritual beliefs. I've noticed that because of stuff that I've been through in my life the last 10 years, I have completely steered clear away really from delving into spirituality. But since I started up doing the tarot and wanting to do the Witchy Wednesdays again, I've been forced to, not forced, but I've had to pull out my books. I'm rereading them and I'm rediscovering things now that I understand. I'm seeing things that I no longer accept or are outdated for me. And so if we don't keep reevaluating, questioning what it is that we believe, or being open minded to look into others' spirituality or what they have to say, um, we become stagnant
Yes. Well,
and we don't grow.
when you were talking about that, taking a little bit from everything and that inner knowing and that limitless power, what did Dr. Grant say? Believe in your limitless power. That was his number 2 rule. And
Be,
limitless means
believe.
no limitations. No limitations.
I love how the word "be" fits into all of that.
Right?
And
I've been
another
into
part,
honey light lately.
oh, honey's good. And also for me, I've ancestry.com says I don't have any, but it's taught quietly in the family. I can't find any information on it, but there's supposed to be Native American in my family as well. And so I'm trying to find a way of bridging, my Celtic, my native, and who I am now, what I'm interested in, and trying to bring that together. And I think this is a great time for everybody, especially in chat. So many of us just started out just sitting in chat watching other readers, and
Yeah.
now everybody in chat have their own channels, or now are exploring different areas or different pathways of spirituality, or just learning how to reconnect to themselves. So it's beautiful. And yep, I just saw this. Well, we set all our own limitations, so that's beautiful. And the star people, our ET families, brothers and sisters that have been here to help us. So
Yes.
earthwork
Agreed.
has helped her make that bridge. So, and like we said, we're all different. When we find that one connection that sparks that passion, and we feel that instant energy connecting us, then you know
Yes.
you
And then
go
if
with
you
that.
lose
That's
that
spirit guiding
connection,
you. Hmm.
yeah, and we have to be open to redirecting those things too. Like you said, change along with it. You're revisiting your books and seeing things differently now.
Yeah, I am. I've been shocked, actually, to see how far my beliefs have changed. So it is important to pull out those books every now and then, re-examine. You know, when you meet new people, be curious, ask them. Of course, politely and respectfully, and to just because you never know what they may share or what they've experienced can add to your life and the quality of your life and your learning and your development. So,
You're
and yes,
amazing.
Dina, and Dina, that's right. We are all just. It's so crazy too. We have all this technology that allows me to connect to you like this and to people in chat, but yet when you leave the house, all you see is people disconnected physically.
Yeah.
It's like we're losing that physical connection. And of course, COVID didn't help. And I won't go off on a tangent, but I think COVID was also introduced to help with the disconnection of people,
Yes. There was a
separate
silver
them.
lining for sure.
To me, there was an agenda. Let me just say agenda.
I agree. Yeah.
And it's worked some, but it's also has helped bring people together, because otherwise we wouldn't be sitting at home watching, looking at YouTube videos, and then coming across and seeing all these, you know, on tarot, oracle, everything. And it just ended up bringing a lot of us together, changed a lot of people's
Right.
lives.
Well, if that's the purpose of a tower moment in our individual lives to stir things up because it wasn't working, we can have worldwide tower moments that are very necessary.
Yeah. Oh, I've had enough.
Equally trust, right? Yes.
I've had enough in the past 10 years. It's just like one right after the other. And it's like, what more do you want from me? You
Yeah.
know?
How much more am I supposed to endure, spirit? Just a little more. Just a little more.
Yep.
You're
Just a
almost
little.
there.
Yeah. So, just double checking before we go. What channel viewers still feel blocked and nothing seems to clear. Yeah, it could be fear. I mean, I've lived on and off with fear, with the abilities and stuff. But the more that I'm learning how to ground properly, I call in my protection, my light. Um, I'm less afraid because it's the fear that when people, physical or entity or negative energy, when you have that energy of fear, that attracts it.
Yeah.
So try to balance that out a little bit so that you know ask your guides, your spirit guides. It may take a while, baby steps. It's not going to be jumping from 0 to 60. It may take a while. For me, it's taken what, 10 years. So
Reiki really
just
helped me get over that hump. I just have to suggest it, learning Reiki, not just getting it done, but learning it.
yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
Ivana. Thank you for joining us. Yes, we're at the end, but thank you for popping in and saying hello, though. So nice to see you. And yeah, well, fear galvanizes, and that's exactly how the world has us right now. Social media is a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. But there you go again. You got the balance, the duality. So
Right?
it's how you use it, your
That's right.
intention.
Here, here, sister.
Here. All righty, everybody. Thank you. Septina, do you have any videos coming up that you want to share? I know you kind of pop on when the energy is right.
Yeah, when I've got the time and the energy. And I do think I'm going to continue with my zodiac lightworker readings. Maybe after this, I'll take a break, and then I'm going to be doing Sagittarius
Yes.
tonight.
I'll see you later.
Right. So in about a half hour from now. And then, of course, I have mostly live videos. Now, YouTube has this new thing where you've got to go to the right tab to find the videos.
Yeah.
It's making things harder for people to find our videos. So I'm going to be talking about that a little bit at the beginning of the videos.
It's making it harder to find people who want to talk openly and share truth,
Yes.
and allowing people. I saw the Jamie
The one
Kennedy
I talked
video.
about. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
there's a lot
you.
of nasty stuff that's on YouTube that people are allowing to be on, but yet when it's people like us trying to speak our truth and share,
We're the ones that get
they want
shadow
us.
banned.
But you know what? I don't care.
Yeah. Because we're
I'm
stronger.
not
We
in it for the
believe in our
money.
limitless power.
All righty. So good night, everybody.
Good
Thank you
night, Heather
again.
Silverstar. Good night,
Yes,
everybody.
everybody for, oh my goodness, 13 people. For me, that's awesome in chat. So thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you all. Mwah. And I will see everybody tomorrow night here at 8 o'clock. We will be doing another investigative tarot for a fellow reader and subscriber. Um, Being requested as being anonymous, but it's for a family member. So if anybody has cards and wants to pull cards and share in chat as Sherry H from Voices from the Swamp, and Sharon from Strawberry Rhubarb Tarot, join me. We'll be reading on this one particular loved one that's been requested.
Okay.
So, all righty, everybody. Have a good night. Bye.